Let me know once everyone gets that pulled up. Just throw like a thumbs up if you guys have problems. Seems like most of you got it. Perfect. All right, I will go ahead and share screen. Seems like most of you have had some type of experience doing this stuff, correct? How many people have just zero tech experience besides what you guys did in like the intro course and your pre-work?
I have 0, but I don't have a ton. A
I
lot
don't
of it's
have
just trying to figure it out myself.
I don't have any real practical experience either. Just stuff through courses. So I've done like the power user Windows course, I believe.
Okay. How familiar is everyone with Linux? Or is Linux like a new thing? So I remember when I started, Linux was like, holy crap, I'm overwhelmed. This is not okay. Linux is, I would prefer a Linux box or any other box. So just want to make sure everyone is going to get as comfortable as possible. And then while I'm going through this lecture, feel free just to chime in at any time, ask a question. That way no one's getting lost. Okay, so I'm going to go here to lessons part 1. Our learning objectives today is just navigating through Linux directories, just getting some command line experience, inspecting and modifying files and their permissions, and then know how to use various package managers. All right, so this is intro to Unix 2 or Linux. All right, so without getting into the weeds, Linux is a general term for any open source operating system that follows the Unix philosophy. In a nutshell, the Unix philosophy us to do one thing and to do it well. This approach has led to a range of Linux variations and distributions like Ubuntu, all built on the same core principles. So there is tons of different flavors of Linux out there, given it is like open source. And then there is one I know of that they license it out, and that is Red Hat Enterprise Linux or RHEL. You'll hear that fairly often. But whenever you hear like people say like what's the like flavor of Linux you're on, it's just like what distro is it from? Is it Ubuntu? Is it Amazon Linux 2? Is it RHEL? That sort of thing. Um, so Linux structure, Linux operates as a layered system to run and manage programs efficiently. You have hardware, which is like your physical components of the computer. The kernel, the core that communicates with the hardware. The shell is a command line interface to react with the system safely. And then you have your applications, which is extra programs that you can run like Python, access via the shell. Together, these layers let Linux provide a stable and flexible environment for running applications and managing resources. Okay, little pop quiz. People just chime in. What's PWD do?
Shows your current path through directory.
Another good way to like reference that back in your head is print working directory. But yeah, that was a great answer, Jeremy. LS.
List directory contents.
Awesome. Okay. CD.
Change directory.
Awesome. Do you guys also kind of like notice how a lot of these it's like short for like what it's actually saying? Like LS is list directory, CD is change directory. What about make dir or mkdir?
Make
directory.
Okay, yeah, I kind of gave that answer away, but like make directory, just short for it. What about touch?
Remove file.
Awesome, perfect. CP?
Copy.
Awesome. What about MB?
Move or rename.
Awesome. Okay. What about RM?
Remove.
Okay. Now, what if I did an RM tac R?
The R's recursive, so
Remove recursive.
Okay. Awesome. Look at you guys. Already got it. Here's all the files, or the answers, I mean. You guys didn't just like open that up, right? While I'm asking these questions. That would have been smart, big braining over here. All right, so use clear often or its keyboard command equivalent. But try not to turn it into an automatic habit. So I'm sure you guys are familiar if you've worked with any Linux at all. The clear command, say I did like all of those like RM or move or ls, right? Just to get rid of all that would just be a clear. Smart thing to do, like it says, like you're gonna use it often. Just don't get in the habit of where you just do it too quick to where like you're not reading what's actually in your terminal. So once you're in there, it's literally gonna clear it out. You can't find it again. So no worries there. What about sudo? Someone explain to me what sudo is.
Gives you supervisor or admin privileges, right?
Yeah.
is this stand for like super user do or something like that? I mean, I know it's kind of a
Yeah.
temporary super user.
Yep, exactly. So you're upgrading your own account to have admin privileges, essentially, or super user privileges. That's the easiest way to explain it. I'll read through this just so like maybe some people that understand a better definition. But the elevator permissions from sudo will help run commands, but be careful with this. Using it carelessly can have serious consequences. Understanding sudo deeply is an advanced topic that requires you to learn about user permissions, but basic understanding of the command is necessarily. The essence is some commands won't work if you don't have the right permissions. And sudo is a command that lets you temporarily elevate your permission status to run such a command. So be careful. Anytime you use sudo, it's a sign that you are likely doing something powerful and irreversible. So it's a good thing to keep in the back of your head, like, all right, if you're using sudo to run this command, means you're doing something that could have like a bigger impact, essentially. Len, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like you mentioned the user permissions, and that's a good way to think about it. Like for you're elevating yourself to basically admin if you're on a Windows computer, and so admin gives you access to things that you don't normally have access to. And as Preston pointed out in the very beginning, do one thing in Linux, do it well, and it's also like everyone's a normal user unless they don't need to be. That's why it was really there. It's like it's kind of one of the principles that no one really ever needs all the access to everything.
Very good way of explaining it. This will become like more common, more, I guess, like, useful as we go throughout the course. Okay, let's go into keyboard interrupts. The section is worth a small mentioning. An interrupt is a way of communicating with the operating system to override, but override its current tasks. Sorry, guys, my mouse just died. If I have a cord on around, there we are. So Control C is going to stop the command that's running too long or is stuck. So say you have like an infinite loop or something like that. You can do Control C just to get out of it. Or say something you're running like a search command and it's not finding anything, or you're downloading, we're installing like a package and it's just stuck. Control C is a good way just to hurry, stop it. That's it. And it'll go back to your regular command line. Control D is just a more powerful way of doing this. So usually I would start with like Control C and then go to Control D. Arrow keys. That's good ways to like navigate. Like if you're looking at my screen, remember how I did like the clear command? So if I did the up arrow, that'll bring up my previous command. Also, you can like navigate left, and then I could be like, oh, I want a PWD and then clear it or something like that.
Did we start recording? I'm
Yeah,
just
we're recording.
okay. I'm sorry, I just hear it.
And then Control R is recursive search, so you can search through your command history. Tab. So say if I'll do an ls, right? And I want to cd into 2048 EB, that directory. So if I do cd and I'm just typing 20, I can just hit tab and that'll finish out. So that's the only thing that has that, I guess, lingo or that file name. So it's just gonna fill that command for me. Also, when you're doing like bigger commands, typically you can tab through them. Say, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but when you get into like longer commands, it's hey, you know you're doing something correct, is if you can tab and it will autofill it. And typically that's like the best way to go about doing longer commands. Not all the time that works, but that's just kind of like a helpful tip. Okay, so what you do if you run a command and it's taking forever to finish, Control C sends an interrupt signal to the shell telling it to quit running the operation. Similar to the above, but more powerful, this sends an interrupt signal to the OS to quit the currently running shell. Sometimes you'll be running a shell within a shell, and Control C will be enough to cancel the current operation. It's powerful but dangerous escape hatch. It's a powerful but dangerous escape hatch. A general rule of thumb, if the shell is stuck in a frozen state, Control C isn't helping, then try Control D. And then we have learning and utilizing these shortcuts will go a long way. All right, we have some searching files. So we have sort, grep, and find. So sort is going to sort lines of a file alphabetically. So if I, let's see if I have something. Okay, let's try that out. So I'm going to do sort and then GHT.
What was that command mean? Cat GHC?
So cat is to print to your terminal. So say you can have, I have like a file here called nginx.pods in with the YAML file extension. So you can do cat that file essentially. I'm using the tab here. That's not right. Let's stop. But that will just print it to your terminal essentially. Does that make sense?
Okay. Oh, so the GHT is was a file with that text in
Yes. Yes, that's
it?
correct.
Okay.
Cat stands for concatenate, and it just concatenates everything to your screen.
Yeah. It's kind of like using print in Python or
Yeah.
log in JavaScript, but it's for your
Okay.
terminal, so that way you can just see whatever the contents is in that file, and it'll display right on your terminal.
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
So you use cat to display the file contents in the terminal.
Yes. Yep, that is correct. But you can sort line. So sort is for sorting lines of a file alphabetically, which I was trying to show you, but that was only one line in that file. Let's see if I have one. I'll just make a file real quick. How about that? Test. And then, sorry guys, I should have had this. I get test file. Do like T S A B C, right? I will go through what I just did. It's part of what's kind of coming up, but this is just like a little demo, and I can do sort, test, and then it put everything in that file in alphabetical order. Does that make sense? Did anyone get lost by me just going kind of quickly through that?
I do have a quick question on that. It doesn't actually change the file itself, does it? It just shows it in that order?
Let's check. So yeah, you were correct. So it didn't change anything in the file, it just displayed it in your terminal as in alphabetical order. Okay. That was a very good catch, Paige. Then we have grep, which is searching file contents for matches. And then we have find. I think find's probably something that you will use more commonly, at least in this course. And that's like as simple as we can just do find and then say I want to look for bash. Such file or directory. Find. We'll do this. Find mount. So then it's looking for any directories and then what's also in that directory. So this kind of comes in handy when you have like a million different files or something in one virtual machine or something like that. It can help you find that directory that you're really looking for. All right. So why would you want to sort lines of a file alphabetically? It may not make sense for documents, markdowns, or readmes like this one you're reading right now, but it definitely makes sense when working with data outputs and lists, like values from a range of cells in a spreadsheet. When needing to search for files, such as the find command that we just went over, we'll search a directory recursively from a matching file / folder name, and if found, we'll print the found file / folder and the contents in that folder or in that directory. Grep works just like find, but will search the contents of the files as well. And then this becomes very powerful when combined with regular expressions. This is an advanced topic we won't get into right now. I could do a whole nother lesson on grep, but I think that'll just kind of fly over everybody's heads, at least for those that are new to Linux. So this is something that we kind of went over a little bit earlier, but it's cat. So cat is going to display the contents of that file directly to the terminal. But we can do, let's just do, we'll cat that test file that we did earlier. And see how it just displays whatever I put in that file right to the console. And then if you do cat tac n and then the file name, that'll give a number for like numbered lines. So you can say like, oh, I'm looking for C in the test file. You can see it's on line 5. For small files like this, it doesn't really make like too much sense, like why you would want to do this, but like for a bigger file, it would make more sense. Like if I did cat on cat tac and to the nginx pods.yaml file, we could see like, all right, we're looking at the API version and that's in line 1. All right, is everyone tracking so far? Did I lose anyone?
I'm tracking, but you talked about grep, and I mean, if everything I've looked at, it seems like one of the most common. Once you get to like intermediate level, it seems like it's like one of those things. Are we going to use it a lot in here, or is it left to us to figure out when and how to have that happen?
We won't really use grep too much as far as in this course. That's kind of why I'm just like kind of glancing over it. But yeah, we can, I think we'll probably dive into grep a little bit more later on if it ever kind of comes up. But
Yeah. I mean,
as far as
today's
in this
definitely not the
course,
day.
we don't really do do much with that.
Okay, fair enough.
As long as you guys can remember, grep searches the file contents. If you're looking for something in a specific file, it's a good way to think about it. Okay. You will use these less oh, okay. We have head, tail, and less. So head, tail, and less is similar to cat. Head is going to display the first lines of a file. So say if I do head to that test file, it's just going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first 5 lines. First lines of the file, yeah, and then tail. So I need probably a bigger file. This is okay. This still works.
With head and tail, it does the first 10 lines. Or excuse me, head does the first 10 and tail does the last 10, unless you specify.
Perfect. And then, yeah, tail's going to do the last 10 lines. Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, perfect. But in this case, the file's so small, we don't have much in there. Let's see. I'll find a bigger file for us. See how long. All right, there we are. Okay, so we found a bigger file. This is a good one. I'll do head. So as you can see here, I did a cat on this README file. So this is the full file, right? But if I do cat on it, it's just going to display the first 10 lines. Tail. We'll do the last 10 lines of that, just so everyone's tracking. And then less is a view file contents and navigate with the space bar.
Also, we can't see your output. I don't know if I made my screen weird, but can everyone else not see the output?
I can see it.
Slide over.
Here, I'll clear this. Okay.
All right, it was me. My
Can
apologies.
you see that now? Perfect. All right, so is everyone tracking what head and tail do? If you guys have questions, just chime in. No big deal. Okay. And then another one that we can go through is less. So less gives you the power to kind of navigate throughout that file that's displayed. So we can do less to that README file. And if you hit it doesn't display the whole thing, but you can hit the space bar and it will kind of go down and through it. Does that make sense? And then it's just Q to quit out of that. That's right. So we'll do that one more time. So we're printing that with the less command. Hits the space bar to go down, right? Or you can hit B to go up. And then if you hit Q, it'll quit. And then just bring you back to the regular console. You will use these less commonly as a modern system, as you will have access to better ways to view and edit files like VS Code, but oftentimes in real world, there are plenty of instances where you'll be connecting to an older or less robust system, like SSHing into an EC2 or even a VM. Unlike cat, these commands give you some additional functionality. Tail, for example, accepts tacf or tac follow argument, which will update what you're seeing in the terminal live. This is especially handy if you're troubleshooting an active service or process. So say you're downloading a package, you can do, you can see like what's going on actively in there, because that's how I kind of take it. I've never used that before, even as a Linux admin. That's okay. And then let's go into VI or Vim. Is anyone familiar with Vim or VI? If not, it's not a big deal. Just give me a thumbs up if you have, and I can see how fast we can go through it. Okay, so not everyone. That's okay though. So Vim is just basically a text editor, so you can go in and actually edit your files. It's not like Word. It's kind of different control since you are still in the terminal. But we'll kind of go through that, and you guys will get a lot of hands-on experience throughout this course using Vim. So let's go ahead and try it. So you can use either VI or the full standard Vim. Depending on what operating system or like flavor of Linux that you're working on, not all of them will work with Vim actually doing the full thing. But VI, I've never had an issue with VI not working. But you can do that. We'll do VI. We're going to go into this README file. And then this is just a text editor. So you can see everything that's in here, right? And also this is, I believe this is in HTTPS or in like whatever code GitHub uses for like the READMEs to make it look pretty and whatnot. So I have some of this weird syntax going on, but it's all right. We can go ahead and edit it. So if I do say now I'm in insert mode. So now I can go ahead and just arrow around in here. I can make changes, right? So I want just to say Dojo Preston, right? Then I can press escape, and now I'm out of insert mode to where like anything that I do isn't going to be doing anything. Not sure why I did that. That's kind of odd, but that's all right. So escape takes you out of insert mode, and then you do a colon. You can kind of see that at the bottom of the screen. And for you to save what you did, it's going to be WQ. I don't want to save what I did, so I'm going to do just a singular Q with a exclamation mark. And that just quits out of the file without saving anything. But now, if say I want to make a change, hit I for insert mode again. We'll do the same change, right? Just hit escape, colon, right quit, or WQ, and that will go ahead and save it. Does anyone have questions on that? There's a lot of different controls in Vim. I would suggest while you're working within files and whatnot, you can kind of Google them. Like doing like say like a DD will just delete lines. That way you don't have to just backspace everything and it takes forever. But there's tons of little controls like that in there.
Does that right quit right regardless of your access rights to the file?
No. So you have to have permissions in that file to make
Okay,
changes.
fair enough. You don't have to go into it. I was just curious because yeah.
Yeah. But no, you're exactly correct, Len. Like not all files you can you only have read access to, right? So a lot of times we're gonna get into we talked a little bit about sudo, right? Sometimes you have to do like sudo vim to be able to get into it, or like say like a sudo su command where it just you become the super user, and then that's when you can make changes and stuff like that. That all depends on your file permissions.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem. All right, so the difference between VI and Vim is just that VI was created first and it has less features rich, or it's less feature rich. Vim is the standard built-in Linux text editor at this point. There's other text editors out there. I know a lot of people that use Nano. I'm not a big fan of Nano. I just stick with Vim. It's simple, at least in my eyes, as far as the controls. I'm not sure if we go into Nano a little bit later, but we'll see. If not, I'll look
Are-
up a little lesson on that next.
Are the key bindings different in Nano? Is it more like a traditional editor, or is it still kind of all like?
It's still like its own different controls in there. That's
Okay.
why, like Vim, I think the controls are easier in Vim or VI.
Yeah.
That's what I prefer.
Okay. And then if for anyone who doesn't know Vim, there's a thing out there called Vim Ventures. If you want to know like the basics, and then you got to pay money to get the advanced stuff, but just to learn the basics and move around Vim, VimVentures.com is a pretty sweet website.
Yeah, good stuff. I've never looked into that. I'll have to look into that, Lynn. Thank you. Okay. So further learning, there are plenty of light applications that you can call from within the terminal. For example, Nano is particularly a popular text editor with a somewhat friendlier interface than VM or Vim. Likewise, the commands we've shown now make up this function of what we can run from a command line. We can do man command, or short for manual. Let's see. And less. So if we do that man command, right? And then, so it's man and then whatever command you're looking for a manual for. This will give you all the different tacks that you can do. Like say tack A or dash A. Whenever I say tack, it's just like a dash. Is everyone tracking that? Or you could do tack capital A, tack B, tack C. Like this just gives you the full manual for whatever command that you're wanting to do. But as this lecture says, Google's just better at this point. Going through your manual pages, like sometimes it's needed. But if you have access to Google, just Google it. That's definitely the way to do that. Also, to get out of that man page, it says it right there on the screen, but just Q quits it. But yeah, that's really about it. Permissions. So we can do a chmod or change mod, which is changing the permissions of a file. So if I do an ls tac a L, yeah, for long list. So ls tac l will give you a long list. We're going to go a little bit more into this in the next section. I want to just get this out of the way real quick. So if you do an ls tac l, this will give you your user and your group for that file. Same thing with directories, right? And then also the privileges that it has for each group, essentially. So like read, write, read, or like say executable. But to get to that, just ls tac l. And we'll be going into that on this next lesson. But in Unix and Unix-like operating systems, chmod is the command and system call used to change the access permissions and special mode flags. So when I say tack something, those are also known as flags. So you could do like ls flag l or something like that. It's just how everyone talks about it. Okay.
So they mean the dash when they say flag.
Yes.
Man, that's the first time I've heard it that way. It makes so much more sense. Thank you.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I just prefer tack. Flag just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Okay. So system called used to change the access permissions and special mode flags of the file system objects or files or directories. Collectively, these were originally called its modes, and the name chmod was chosen as an abbreviation of change mode. That's just a long way of saying this is just its permissions, and chmod, that command is essentially just to change the mode or change the permissions of that file or directory. I think it's good here to remember that CH stands for change, right? So when we get like progressively on, you can change the user, you can change the group of these files or where they like who they belong to. But yeah, that would be like say like a change group command or a change user command. Chmod is for changing the mode or the permissions. And then here's some operators. So we have like the star. The star is like a wild card. Also, a fun way to think about this is it just means everything, right? It just means everything and it's like a directory. You want to move everything out of this directory into here or copy everything out of there. Yeah, just like remember this means like, all right, we're doing everything. We have our arrows and our double arrows, which is output redirection operators. Like we can echo hello world if say that's a file, and we can have it be sent to hello.txt. Or you could do like, no, this is saying essentially we're writing hello world and we're sending it to hello.txt, and it'll overwrite and create that file. So if we do that, we could try that real quick. Echo, let's see, I think we need the quotes on this one since there is a space. Hello world, and then we are, where's my arrow key at? We're sending that to hello.txt. And now, if I do an ls, I have this text file. If I cat it out, it says hello world. Does that make sense to everyone? When it says overwrite, so say hello.txt already was created, it would overwrite whatever was in that file to just say whatever I am putting in there. So we could say goodbye world, or it'd be echo goodbye world, and then we are sending that to hello.txt, and then if I cat it now, it just says goodbye world. Does that make sense to everyone? So it overwrites it.
And that's forever gone, right? That's a gone, never going to see it again.
Yes, yeah. So like it overrided the text and it's saying goodbye world. But if say we just wanted to append the file or make a change to it, you could do the double arrows. Echo hello Preston. We are doing double. And then if I cat that, now it says both. So it just made a change and put it at the end of that file. Is everyone tracking that now? Sweet. Well, so you guys will get some good hands-on experience with your assignments today. So if this isn't like all clicking or you're feeling a bit overwhelmed with this, I know it's kind of a lot of information. You guys can go through the lesson yourself and do it yourself. That's what I always did. Or you could just have your lesson up and be doing your assignment, and you can be looking back on like, all right, well, how do I do this? Does that make sense to everyone? Sweet. Okay, how's everyone feeling? Do you guys need a break? You want like 10, 15 minutes? It's okay. We can all take breaks because we only have one more section to cover today, and then you guys have your assignment.
I'm personally good, but
Good push through.
Push through. Is everyone okay with that?
Break is good for me.
Oh, you ready for a break? All right,
Yes.
good. All right, guys, let's meet up in say 15 minutes. So at what is that, 6:30 Central Time? I'm in Utah time, so if I'm ever an hour behind, or I say like it's 5:15 and it's really 6:15 Chicago time, just forgive me, just add an hour to that. All right, guys, we will meet back in 15. Yeah, we are recording. Awesome. So username and host name. So that fixed prompt at the left of the $sign. So if you're looking at my terminal right here, we have username at hostname and then our current directory. So as you can see, this is my username, which is pmoody. My host is Preston's laptop. And then we have our current working directory.
That's a quick question
Yep.
about recording, because I didn't hear it say it's in recording, and I didn't see the flag that comes up that says this meeting is being recording. Did you set that up? I just want to make sure you set it up, because
Yeah.
Zoom's
No,
up.
I got it. It's on I'm using Fathom, which is
Okay,
a
just check.
note taker.
I've just been going to all the classes, and so it's like different from what I've experienced so far. So
Yeah, I like Fathom. I think it's a little bit more helpful for you guys. So when I give you guys the link after.
that's fine. I've seen files be nuked before, so I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool, thank you.
Also, a quick thing about Fathom, when I give you guys the link, it's easier to scroll through, say like you're looking for like one piece that we covered, especially like when we get more in depth and we're say launching or deploying applications. If you're looking for like one thing that you need to review that you can't remember, it's all transcribed in there. So you can just like search through the words, or it's easier to like rewind or fast forward, that sort of thing. It's a little bit more helpful, as I found. But if you guys prefer recording, just let me know and I can switch at any time as well. So there's no need to stress. But yeah, it is silent. It doesn't make any noise. But yeah, okay. So we've already discussed the directory. In this case, say if I do a CD, which will bring me back to home. For that. We have the tilde, which stands for home directory, and that's that guy, that little squiggly. That's a tilde. But what about the other two? So the username is, you guessed it, the name of the current user. Sometimes you'll want to access this programmatically, and you can do that with the command, just who am I? So everyone's tracking that. Sometimes this comes this comes in handy when you are like SSHing. And it's not just like your home computer, you know. The host name is just the name of the current Linux system the username is active on. This isn't going to be relevant right now, but in the future, when you are remotely accessing different servers, this name will tell you where you are. So say we are SSH'd in, say, like another EC2 instance, it can give you like whatever that host is named. Usually, I think EC2 it just uses its IP. Yeah, it can come in handy. Let's see. All right, if you ever want a rundown of this info and a lot more, you can type the command env, and it will tell you as much as you could want to know about the current state of your Linux system. Let's go ahead and try it. It's probably going to look very scary to some of you, but yeah. All right. So groups. A group is what it sounds like, a name given to a set of users, which is useful for a system administrator that wants to give access to certain OS features. More on this later when we go through permissions. But doesn't want to list out all the individual users. Instead, a group is created. The access rights for members of this group are defined. Then the users can be added to a said group. So instead of saying I'll be like, all right, I'll go through Paige and I give her admin rights or access to use sudo. then I have to go through Andy and do the same thing. Instead of doing it all singular, you can create a group. I can put all you guys into a group, and then I can give that one group a set permissions. This is also popular in AWS, which we'll get into later on. But yeah, it just makes it a little bit easier to track permissions and that sort of thing. Okay. Instead, a group is created. Access rights of members of this group are defined, and then users can be added to said group. To find all the groups a given user belongs to, use the groups command. For example, you could do groups casserole, list out casserole, ADM dial out. I don't think this will work. Let's try it. I doubt it. Sometimes there's little Easter eggs in Unix. Yep. There's no such group. But yeah, that's a number of groups, and you aren't expected to know all of them. The important ones to know are casserole. This will be your own username on your environment and sudo. Casserole is not just so it's saying it's groups for your user. So let's see. For mine, I should probably only have one. Yeah. So casserole was the user, and you're just saying what group this user belongs to, or groups this user belongs to. So I belong to all of these. Okay. So it's not just the username, but also my primary group as it's first listed. So I also have a group that my user is connected to. Okay. By default on WSL2, we'll create a new user in his own new group, which is the same name. Just ensure the new user is not accidentally placed in a group that gives them access to things they shouldn't have access to yet. The sudo group means that a user, I have access to sudo command. So that's this group right here. So if you guys could run that command, this might be easier for you to track on your own terminals. I'm not sure if this is going to be the exact same if you're using Apple or Mac OS, but it might be. Okay, so the sudo group means, okay, sudo, which will be explained in a moment. To see your environment, group user relationships, you can open the file etc group. Note this file is not located relative to your home directory. So you have to cd back to your root directory. This is system-wide file, therefore your access may be limited on some systems, but for good reason. So I say cd out of this, or cd back. I'm in like the home root directory. Let's see, at the cd to etc. That's odd. Sorry guys, I don't know why that's not pulling up. Maybe if I do that at the end. Huh. Well, usually it's how you could get there, but all right, there we go. Sorry. I had to go all the way back to the root, and not in root home. Can you guys try running the command in your home directory just like this? Try that. Is that giving anyone else issues? Okay.
Yep.
So how I got all the way back, let's just see if I do this. So if you do from your home directory, you just do a CD, which is a slash, that will take you to the root directory. So if I do that, now you're in the root directory, and then you can CD to Etsy, and then CD to group. Is it groups? Oh no, group is just a file. That's why. And these are all the different groups I have in there. But then if you just CD, that'll take you back to your home. Also, I've in my bash RC, every time I have a CD, it does an ls after it. So don't be afraid if yours isn't printing all this out or to the terminal every time you do a CD. That's the only reason why mine's like that. But yeah, so just to go over this one more time, you could CD back to root, and then you could do CD Etsy. Now let's try something. What if I did this, CD Etsy? Okay, that'll take you there. It's because group isn't a directory. That's why I was having issues. So if I could have just catted it out from the home. So everyone, let's try that. So if you do cat, the cat command with the root directory. So we're doing a / or is that backslash? Just normal slash. Do Etsy, then group. It should cat that out right to your terminal. Let me know once you guys can do that. Okay. Sorry, I know I kind of got probably confusing there. If you guys have questions, just ask. Feel free to ask real quick.
What exactly is this file?
This is a file showing all of the different groups. If you just do a CD, that'll take you back to your home directory, like your user's home directory. Is everyone tracking that? If you're confused, feel free to ask the question. I can clear it up. I don't want you feeling behind or you're lost or something like that. Close my office. All right, if there's no questions, we can go ahead and move forward. I'll read this real quick. Again, so the sudo group means that as a user, I have access to the sudo command, which will be explained in a moment, to see your environment group user relationships. So also in that file, it lists all the groups, but then what your user is in as far as privileges. And then it says, note this file is not located relative to home or your home directory for the current user, but rather the root directory for the entire system. So the system-wide file, therefore your access to it may be limited for some good reason. All right, sudo. Is everyone good to press forward? Just give me a quick thumbs up. Or if not, just quickly interrupt me. Awesome, okay. So what is sudo command? It stands for super user do. In other words, it elevates the current user to the status of root user after prompting for a password, assuming they are in this group. Sudo. To see this action, try downloading the tool node with the built-in Linux package manager apt. If you're on Mac OS, you won't have this. You'll use the package manager brew. So if you're on Mac, it's going to look like brew install Node.js. We're going to try apt install Node.js. I want everyone to run this. Does everyone get some like an error? Right? So what you can do, in this case, we're going to use sudo. So we'll do sudo apt install Node.js. Then it prompts you for a password. Enter your password. Also, it's not going to show your password, but you still can use backspace, just so you guys are tracking. So if you ever butcher your password, just feel free to hit backspace like as many times as you feel needed. And then now, I already have it, it looks like, but yeah. And then that should work for you guys, and it'll actually go through and install the Node.js package. Did that work for everyone? Awesome. And then for you Mac users, is anyone using Mac? Okay. Did Brew work for you?
Yes.
Work.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much what we did. So no, not all files are entitled to the exact same treatment as far as Linux system is concerned. They can be differentiated by permissions. Yeah, example, let's make a simple Python program with a single shell command, echo, print hello world, the hello.py. So let's try that command real quick, guys. If you just do echo and let's do print. Hello. We're going to send that to hello.py. Quick little thing. Stefan, is it Stefan or Stephen? You have your hand raised.
Oh, it's Steven.
Okay, Stephen.
Okay. Oh no, wait, never mind. I think my question's been answered. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Question. Can anyone tell me what this command is doing? We covered it last lecture. Go ahead, Flo.
Should be appending that print statement to the hello py file.
Yep, perfect. So if we didn't have that hello.py file, we could have also just done a single arrow, right? And it would just replace whatever was in that file with what we just put in there. Also, both commands can, I guess, create that file. If that makes sense to everyone. Now we have a file called hello.py. So we try it. It is right here. Now if we want to execute that program, we could write python 3 hello.py. Okay. And there you go. Then it printed hello.world. But there's a shortcut for this Linux. So we could have also done execute, which is /hello.py, or we can try our tabbing thing. I don't know why that didn't work. Yeah, there we go. Execute. but we're getting permission denied. So there's whatever the program is associated with that extension. In this case, the command is Python 3, except when you try to run the execute command, which is the /, we got error permission denied. What's going on here? So if we do, bring it up for you guys. If we do ls tac l. 1 second, guys. Let me. Okay. So I just made a directory, and now I put that hello.py in that directory, just so it's not as confusing for us to look at. As you can see, I did ls in this day1 directory. We have hello.py. So if I do ls tac l, right, for a long list, it gives us our like the mode, we'll call it, of that file of hello.py. Now type, you'll see a number of rows before the file name, like so. So in the first row, you'll see permissions indicator, something like this right here, right? Does anyone know what R, W, R, and like the dashes stand for?
Read, write, and execute.
Awesome. Okay. So when you have dashes, that means you're missing that permission. Does that make sense? If nothing's there. So in the third row, you will see the owner, the file, which is Benjamin Cohen in this case, or P. Moody in this case. In the fourth row, you'll see the group that the owner of the file belongs to, which it's just I'm both the owner, right? And I'm in the P. Moody group, which probably a lot of your guys will look similar. And then in the last row, you'll see the file name, and depending on the system, may be color indicating. But for us, at least not me. The permission indicator. So the real question is, what is the nonsense in the first row? It's extremely concise, but here's the breakdown. So first character type of this item is a dash, and that equals file. So that's this one right here. If say this was a directory, this would be a D. So if I do an ls tac l, you can see some of them, see these blue ones, right? So they are color coordinated. This is a directory because it has a D on this front one. I'll go back into day one. There, make it easy for you guys. The next three characters is the permission for the user. So always goes user, group, other. So the next three, right, is read, write, nothing, because I don't have execute on there. For the group, it is just read permissions, and for other users, it's just read as well. And then if there's a dash, it means there's no permissions granted. So if it should probably look something like this to everyone, right? Is just dash RW dash R dash dash R dash dash means it's a file, right? Because we have the dash on the front. The owner has read-write permissions but not execute, and then anyone else in the same group has read-only permissions, and anyone else has read-only permissions. This is essentially what this is saying. So then we can change those permissions. Sorry guys, I know this is a little boring. We're gonna get into fun stuff soon, I promise. So to change this permissions on the file, we use the chmod command or change mode, and we can do this like so. So we could do chmod r hello.py, and we'll see what that did. So now that essentially we got rid of all permissions for other users on that, which is removed the read permission for other. Now typing our execute command, hello.py, and we're still getting the same error. Chmod can be dangerous because of cybersecurity reasons, right? And why does it matter if I can alter it at will? But who has permissions for Chmod? Chmod itself, a file, as far as Linux is concerned, we can learn about it. Which Chmod will tell you where the command Chmod is actually coming from. It looks like it lives in the directory /bin. So let's see. We do the which command, and it says it lives in the bin directory. So user bin Chmod. We can run ls tacl for the bin. See the permissions for the bin. And we can see Chmod's owner own permissions, and it looks like its owner is user called root, which is also in the root group. This means that on a given Linux system, the root user would be able to remove execute permissions for Chmod for anyone but himself, or perhaps only a given group he is part of, like, say, admins. This means that a given system administrator can control who can change permissions, and in so doing can limit who can execute what and who can alter permissions at will. It will get a bit complicated, but I just wanted to ensure everyone this is well thought out system, and permissions play into an important role in granting privileges, especially to users, but also limiting when appropriate. Okay. Let's do something fun here. I don't think we're going over. Should we go over numbers? Oh, okay. So also read, write, execute. There's a number system for it. When you're doing these commands. Number codes. Read, write, execute. Just trying to get the yeah, right here. Okay. So execute would be 1, write is 2, and read is 4. And so when you're trying to give say like a command, we'll do chmod 7 for a user, right? And that way we can see everything. So see how it's 7, so it's 4 plus 2 plus 1 equals 7. And then say for everyone else, we just want to give them read privileges, 744 to hello.py. Now if I do an ls tacl, the user or the owner has read, write, execute. And then that little command, the execute command, the // for hello.py, it works, but there's a syntax error in it. But yeah, it works. But if we use Python 3 for that, I don't know why it didn't. Yes, this usually just works a little bit better on bash scripts, but at least we were able to use that execute command. Does anyone have questions on that? If you guys have like paper, pencil, write this down real quick. I will also put it in our channel. Just so you guys have a good note of it. Write, read. Right, guys. Sorry to get off topic. I just thought that was important for you guys to know. But all right, so going over the chmod commands again. So we could also add the execute permission for the user only by doing chmod u plus x and then that file. And it did the same thing. So essentially you're just calling out which group of individuals, or I guess like who you want to change permissions to, and then what privilege you want to either add to or subtract from. It's the best way to think about this. But for me, never use that ever in my life. I use the numbers, just so you guys are tracking. That's what I was saying. Everyone just make it easy on yourselves. But yeah. Okay. So you might be asking, is chmod dangerous? Or if I have access to chmod, aren't all permissions mutable? Why does it matter if I can alter it at will? Sure, everyone was thinking that, right, guys? But permissions for chmod is itself a file as far as Linux is concerned. Let's learn about it. And that's kind of like what we went through. /bin. At least I think. Did we read through that? I think we did, guys. That looks very familiar. But all right, is everyone kind of tracking this? I think we did read through that. Okay. I know this is a lot of words for today. All right, package management. We've already discussed a bit earlier in our sudo example, but a package management is an important concept in Linux. This is where we get all of our packages to download, right? The essential idea is that there are many common and useful tools that likely won't be included by default in your shell. So how do you get access to these tools? In the old days, you might need to gain access to binaries directly through a physical drive or a floppy disk. But we have package managers now. So on most Linux systems, you'll have access to apps by default, but Mac OS, you will need to download a tool called Homebrew, though they all accomplish the same thing. Also, just so everyone's tracking, when we get into different flavors of Linux, they also use different package managers. A very common one is yum. So it'd be like the same command if we're doing like installing Node.js that we did prior. It would look something like this. No, that's not right. It would look something like this. We do like a sudo yum install app or not app, install node.js or install Python, something like that. Rather than using apt, it's just changing from apt to yum to brew, like whatever package manager that flavor of Linux is using. Yeah, we'll be using yum and apt, and then if you're using Mac, of course, it's brew. That way we don't get confused later on. But we can also, okay, first type apt directly into the term or into the command line without any additional arguments. So apt just kind of gives us some information on it. in the commands. So we could do apt search. Apt search. Oh, never mind. That's a separate command. So like we could say like apt search node.js. And then it's searching like, all right, look at all these different Node.js packages or things that include Node, that sort of thing. Another useful command is like apt list. And look at all these good things that we found, right? Every package that we could possibly have. This is like when we can use things like search is a little bit better for this, right? We could do like apt search. Look at that one. Sounds funny. Zurl. And look at it, boom, right there. And then we know it's already in our package manager and we can just go ahead and download and install Zurl. I'm not sure what Zurl is, it just kind of sounded funny, so. And then we can do apt install package name, as we did prior, right? So this will install, also before we install anything, good thing to do is a update. And that just updates our package manager. So that way we are getting the latest packages when we are downloading them. So before we installed Node.js, it probably would have been better if we did sudo apt update. I'm like, okay, everything's looking good. Now we're doing sudo apt install node.js. Or node. What did we install there?
There's no JS without the dot.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Perfect. Okay. But it would have been best practice to update our package manager first. Or app upgrade. And then you can also do something like this, where do a sudo apt upgrade. We can upgrade Node.js. And then, yes, I want to update it or upgrade it. And then now my Node.js is upgrading. I'm not sure if you guys will have to do that because mine was already installed. It just wasn't upgraded yet. That's a lot of what's going on. Remember how
So I have a question. Install and upgrade are different things. If it's already installed and you do install, doesn't it automatically upgrade?
No. So when you say if like the package was already installed on your machine, it wouldn't just
Yeah.
upgrade it automatically to the latest version.
Oh,
But say,
because I did that and it says I already have the latest version installed.
yeah,
So I thought that's what it meant.
yeah. So for you, since you probably just installed Node.js fresh, like already, yeah, it gave you the most up-to-date Node.js package. Does that make sense? So I think your question was correct. But for me, since I already had Node.js before, it didn't upgrade it. Does that make sense?
Oh no, okay. Yeah, I don't.
So like,
Because I installed it like a couple months ago, maybe.
so you might have already had the most up-to-date one, possibly. But yeah,
So if I didn't and did the install, what would it say?
say that one more time.
So if I didn't have the latest one and did the sudo apt install node.js, like what would it say?
It would just say that you already have it installed. If you did the upgrade command, that's what would actually update the package
Oh,
or upgrade the package. Does that make sense?
oh, okay.
That's why I got all this stuff because it wasn't fully upgraded.
Also, too, just to clarify, with Node.js, I just pulled up their release, and what does it look like? April, unless this is actually, you know what? Looking at it, it looks like it might be out of date. No, it's not. So April 10th was version 21.73. So if you had installed it anytime after, or like in the past month, which was like I guess just October 24th, is that when you installed it?
I have no way of remembering.
All right. So more than likely, I'm going to assume maybe it was like at October 24th. So then it just hasn't been updated since. But then also, once again, if you had updated it in April, anywhere between April 10th and before October 23rd, it would all have been one version.
Yeah, it'd say the same thing.
So if I have a package and I want to update it to the latest, like what's the command for that?
That's that apt upgrade one. So you can do
Okay.
apt upgrade Node.js, right?
Okay.
But see, I could run it, or do I need sudo? Yeah. Oh, also handy trick. I'll show you after, actually, so we don't get confused. Sudo apt upgrade Node.js. So since mine's already, it says like it's already done. Does that make sense? There's no more upgrades available for Node.js, essentially. Handy thing. Does anyone know what this means? 2 exclamation marks. Okay. So say I want to clear this. I did apt, and this will work for anything. Apt upgrade Node.js, and it says this gives me 2 errors, right? And it's like permission denied. Are you root? Say I wanted to rerun that last command, but with like sudo. 2 exclamation marks, or an exclamation mark is known as a bang. I could do this sudo bang bang or 2 exclamation marks. That means my last command. So then it would actually run that command as sudo. So 2 exclamation marks just means last command. That can come in handy, especially when you have to do sudo. Let's see. I don't think we even needed Chmod. I'm trying to think of something else. Maybe just apt install Python 3. See, I don't have privileges. If I do sudo bang bang, it will run it. And that will work for any command. Like any bang bang just means prior command, just so everyone's tracking. And that's not in the list. That's just my normal, I guess, syntax kind of going through things. So it just kind of came to mind. So we do have some more additional resources. So if you guys get finished with your challenges early, I would say read through some of this stuff. Or if you guys have questions, anything like that, you can go through there. But let's go to our challenges today. For your, also known as your assignments. So if you guys get stuck, here's your debugging checklist. Sure this works for you guys. Okay. So have you gone through error logs, stepped through your code? Have you looked up in Google or Stack Overflow or another online resource? So I can go.